I wanted to start this year in this new channel with a simple idea. Just talk about things I really liked from 2017. But there were a lot of things I liked in 2017. I mean, a whole lot. Way too many to be contained in a list. I mean, King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizard alone released 5 albums last year. That's a lot of psychedelic prog rock for 1 year. Wow. So don't see this as a best list. There was way too much stuff to try and quantify what was best in 2017. And honestly, I don't think it's that worthwhile. I don't want to talk about best. I want to talk about interesting, entertaining, moving, captivating, thought-provoking. I want to talk about goodness. These days it feels like goodness has been reduced to less than great, but better than okay. A solid 7 out of 10. And you know what? I don't like that. Let's stop doing that. So these are things I listened to or watched or played, but they're also things that inspired thoughts beyond that. Thoughts about the deeper ideas they were trying to convey. Thoughts about the emotions they stirred within me. Thoughts about the stories they told and the deep truths contained within those stories. And I think some of those thoughts are worth exploring. So welcome to my list of favorite things. Got a lot to cover. 2017 was buck wild. This year, I added buck wild to my list of words I use way too often. I started doubling my adjectives, especially when describing good dogs or sweet boys. I can't watch a Blu-ray or eat food with a spoon or cook an egg without hearing the voice of Amelie whispering in my head. I cook an egg with a spoon. I now know that Glass Shark is gonna get me, Magnus rushes in, golf is the king's game, and Jeffrey and I are probably gonna buy a house together. All of that because this was the year that I fell deep into the world of the McElroys. I could easily ramble for hours about everything these brothers do. But for now, I want to focus on one creation they made that moved me more than I ever expected it to. The Adventure Zone. The Adventure Zone is a fantasy role-playing podcast where Justin, Griffin, Travis, and their dad Clint play D&D together. When I first started listening, this was a goofy comedy cast that obviously didn't take itself or the rules of D&D too seriously. But as I went on, the story got deeper, the world got wider, and the characters came alive. I believe the McElroy family was falling in love with these characters as we, the audience, were. We started with joke names like Taco Taco and Barry Blue Jeans, but eventually these names became attached to friends that we all cared so much about. We wanted to see where they went, who they developed into, and how they finished their quest. As we fell more in love with these characters, so did the McElroys. And as they became more dedicated to the world they were creating, so did we. I think that is one of the most meaningful parts of my time with the Adventure Zone, knowing that the creators were having the exact same experience right alongside me. The show made me laugh, it made me cry, it made me shout "no way" in surprise as the story was unraveled to me. One day I was cleaning my house, and I was listening to the Adventure Zone in headphones. I was laughing really hard, and this made my son ask me what I was laughing about. So, I unplugged my headphones, prayed that the brothers wouldn't be too offensive, and let him hear some of the Adventure Zone. We spent that whole night poring over my D&D books, getting super excited about what D&D was. This led to me DMing a whole campaign for him and his friends. It was his first time doing role-playing, and it was amazing. I can't wait to do more with him. So if you like D&D or comedy or just really good stories told by very, very good boys, go listen to The Adventure Zone. I promise it's worth it. Blade Runner 2049 did something I never thought a movie could do. It did Blade Runner better than Blade Runner. This could have gone wrong in a lot of ways. There was so much expectation and weight on director Denis Villeneuve, but if there was one person who could pull it off, it was him, and boy did he pull it off. He managed to take those things that made the original Blade Runner amazing and amplify them, while also expanding the themes, the characters, and the world beyond anything the original Blade Runner could dream of. I think the most profound thing about this film was how deeply it sucked me into its world. This is a slow burn of a film at nearly 3 hours long, and I was in it the whole time. The tension was tangible, the stress was real, the wonder and worry and weight of this broken world surrounded me with every synth swell. I think that's the strength of focusing so deeply on atmosphere and aesthetic. You connect with this world and reality starts to melt away. The movie becomes your reality, at least for a little while. I could have easily made it through a 4.5-hour cut, and unfortunately, we're not going to be getting that. And that sucks, because I want more.
Give it to me now.
I want to see more of this world. I want more perfectly shot moments that surround me with their atmosphere. This movie is like all of my favorite things, and I just can't get enough. I love well-made puzzle games. Braid, Portal, The Witness, these are among my all-time favorites. These are games that make you want to keep trying when you get stuck in a section. Even when you get so frustrated that you have to walk away, the good puzzle games will gnaw on your mind, begging you to come back and try one more solution. Gorogoa was one of those games. This iPad game was painstakingly drawn by hand by its creator Jason Roberts over the course of its 6 years of development. And just look at it. The art alone makes this game worth checking out, but it doesn't stop with the incredible artwork, because it's how you interact with that art that makes this game something special. You spend the entire game on a screen with 4 panels. Scenes appear in one or more of these panels, and as you interact or move them around, you will reveal new hidden scenes. The goal is to find a way to line up these scenes that will progress the story. There are just enough options to create some really puzzling moments which connect to the best moments of old adventure games without all the frustrating bad logic. Every solution brought about this giddy excitement in me as the scene transitioned and a new chapter of this wordless story unraveled. Seeing these handcrafted moments unfold in front of me, it was inspiring. And while we're talking about joy in video games, I think I need to spend a moment talking about my new favorite video game system. In a world where the majority of video game systems are becoming more and more like PCs, Nintendo has always chosen a different path, trying new things with new experiences that focus most on fun. This hasn't always worked out for them. The Wii U was obtuse to a frustrating degree, and although it had some amazing games on it, I don't know if I'll ever go back and play them, because busting out that toddler toy gamepad is kind of a hassle.
Whoshi! It's a double Yoshi explosion!
But in hindsight, I'm really glad Nintendo never gave up on their design ethos. Years of stumbling into success and failing forward have led to the creation of the Switch, which I honestly believe is the best way to create a console gaming experience in this day and age. The unique experience that the Switch brings is everything. It's a living room console experience that you can take on the go for portable handheld gaming that can easily adapt to personal or communal experiences wherever you are. Because of this simple but revolutionary flexibility, I'm actually playing a lot more games. There are so many indie games that I'm either waiting to buy or waiting to buy again just so I can play them on my Switch. And on top of that, you have Nintendo's first-party games, which are amongst the best games the company has ever made. It felt like they remembered how important the Mario and Zelda franchises are. I don't want to go bashing on their predecessors, but Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild tried their hardest to be the absolute best games they could be. Breath of the Wild is quite possibly the most well-crafted, open-world experience ever made. Every decision and gameplay mechanic was created to make exploration and discovery the highest priority. And Mario Odyssey takes everything Mario has done right for his entire existence and puts it into an experience that still feels brand new and exciting. And this isn't even talking about Mario Rabbids or Splatoon 2, which has gotten a lot of play in my house. The Switch is an incredible gaming system that managed to encapsulate everything I love about video games into a forward-thinking modern system that I have no doubt will bring even more amazing experiences in the years to come. I always feel lucky when I get new Sufjan Stevens music. He's the first artist I mention when people ask who are your inspirations, and honestly, I don't know if I'd be doing synth music if it wasn't for Age of Odds. So 2017 was a special year for me because I got not one, but 2 new Sufjan Stevens albums. The first is Planetarium, a collaborative concept created by composer Nico Muhly, Bryce Dessner from The National, Sufjan Stevens, and his longtime collaborator James McAllister. It started as a live work commissioned by a concert hall from the Netherlands and was adapted into a 76-minute-long record in 2017. I pre-ordered this album the day it was announced, knowing almost nothing about it. Upon hearing it, I was immediately lost in its sprawling compositions. This album is dense, featuring 17 songs titled after the planets and other various celestial bodies. These songs oscillate wildly from chaotic bombast to haunting ambient minimalism. While using the concept of the planets to explore emotions, mythology, and the loneliness of space. This is the kind of album that demands you sit down and give your attention over to it. Its esoteric lyrics and complex arrangements also give more and more every time you listen through, meaning that it develops and grows over time. Sufjan also released a collection of B-sides and demos from his previous album Carrion Lull that's called The Greatest Gift. There's one song off this album that I really want to talk about right now, and that's the title track, The Greatest Gift, specifically the music video that came along with it. It's less than 2 minutes of sweet, silly stop motion, done with clippings and cutouts from various Christian marketing materials. The first time I watched this music video, I cried. And then I watched it over and over and over again. And it dawned on me, this song and the music video are kind of what my faith looks like these days. Because these clippings all come from literature that is honestly damaging. The video is made entirely from documents that were made to indoctrinate, exclude, and judge. And that is a lot like the church and the doctrine that I used to be in. But there's still something special, a spark of the divine love that initially drew me to faith that I can't shake. So with scissors and glue, and a whole lot of postmodern mystic appreciation for being lost, I try to make something out of the remains of what once was. I want to find the scraps of goodness left after you remove the baggage. And honestly, on this channel, I'm not going to shy away from that. Because right now, I believe that embracing and sharing radical love, grace, acceptance, and inclusivity is exactly what I need to be doing, especially in the face of all the hurtful bullshit that is done in the name of God. My goal is not to change your mind or convert you. You're on your path, and I respect that. But I do want to reconnect with the divine mystery that I find at the heart of so many things. And I really hope that that's resonant. Did you see Brigsby Bear? I'm not mad if you didn't. The only reason I know about it is because an algorithm on Facebook decided to show me an ad, and I figured, hey, I'll check it out. I went into this movie blind and instantly fell in love with it. It is by far the best movie no one saw in 2017. And of all the things on this list, this is the one I most hope you go and check out. Brigsby Bear is about a lot of things. It's about creative work and pursuing what makes you happy. It's about finding the good in stories originally created for bad intentions. It's about acknowledging that life, art, and people are complicated, imperfect, messy.
It's very sad you didn't get to do what was important to you. Bye, Detective Vogel.
And as someone who is constantly moving forward and creating new things because of that insatiable drive, this was a movie that really connected with me. I've said before that one of the main reasons I decided to try and make making music into a career was because I just couldn't stop creating. I mean, I've been doing 4+ years of weekly covers on my other channel, and I still have just as much, if not more, creative energy. There's a lot more I could say about this movie. There's a lot more that I'm going to say in a future episode, but for now, I will say this. Watch Brigsby Bear. It's a wholesome, good-hearted comedy that will really make you appreciate the obsessive artist in your life. I have this policy with artists that I'm not a fan of. I always give new things a chance. I do this because every year there are always albums from artists that I never really enjoyed who made a radical shift into something that I fall in love with. Kesha's Rainbow is one of these things. Rainbow is the kind of beautiful mess that the algorithmic precision of the pop machine could never think to create. It bleeds passion as it sways haphazardly between genres and styles. And I love it so much. I love the semi-coherent nature of the style of this album. It's like after years of being told what to play and how to play, Kesha said nope and just threw everything she wanted to do into this album. It's vulgar, it's emotional, it's got pop and country and rock and Ben Folds. It also tackles the weight of abuse and attempting to move on through one of the most powerful pop ballads I've ever heard.
Only God can forget.
I feel like this album is the first step in Kesha really finding her voice as an artist after spending years being told what to do. She throws everything at the wall, and some things stick better than others. But man, am I excited to hear where she goes next, because I feel like for the first time I'm hearing Kesha be Kesha, and I love it.
I'm a motherfucker.
Sonic is a character I have a weird past with. Being a kid who never owned a Sega system, my time with this radical mascot came from weekends at my grandmother's, where my cousins and I would take turns playing through the original Genesis game. This established in me a warm nostalgia for the level concepts, aesthetics, and music of Sonic the Hedgehog. But unable to practice and learn its somewhat counterintuitive game design, I never got a good handle on actually playing the games, leading to my opinions on them souring as I got older. I vividly remember the day I bought a Genesis just a few years ago. I got it home, plugged it in, threw Sonic 2 in, and within an hour, I never wanted to play another Sonic game again. That is, until Sonic Mania. Sonic Mania, like Shovel Knight before it, is distilled nostalgia. It's the gaming experience my warped memory believes I had back at my grandma's house. It's all the best things about Sonic made better. The controls are smoother, the level design feels more intentional. I love the way they tweak the old levels with new gameplay mechanics, and it still has some very frustrating sections. Fuck you, Oil Ocean. But overall, I loved my time playing through this Sonic game, and that's the first time I've said something like that in a very long time. I feel like for the first time, the theoretical idea of what Sonic can be matches up with what Sonic actually is, and at least for me, this game is finally enjoyable, so I can experience the amazing look and sound of the game without getting too frustrated. I still hate Oil Ocean Zone. Even with all the controversy, I still love YouTube. There are so many people creating their own unique vision of what a YouTube video can look like. And although there's a lot of anger that is at times rightfully directed at the platform, I think there's something amazing that these people can share their voice with so many without the need of gatekeepers or publicists. We have a surplus of creators who are, especially in the last year, learning to buck trends and algorithms, find their voice, and broadcast it as loud as possible. Two creators embody this so strongly that they inspired me to create the very channel you are watching. The first is Mikey Newman, the creator of Movies with Mikey. His Arrival video made me know I was watching something special, but it was his appreciation for Interstellar, a movie I felt many missed the beauty of, that got me hooked hard. I have binge-watched this channel multiple times. It's the first thing I go to when sharing new YouTube videos or channels with friends. I think a big part of why I feel so compelled to share his work, no caveats, with so many is because even if you strip the great editing, writing, and overall polish from his videos, there's still something at the heart of Movies with Mikey that is remarkably resonant. Mikey always tries to add to the conversation. He rarely tears down even when tackling contentious ideas or movies. He wants to bring a new point of view that'll make you look at a movie in a different light and help everyone to share in the joy of these works of art. This means beautifully cheesy monologues about the power of love, extended goofs involving a One Direction song, and auto-tune raps that go on for way too long. But that's okay, because that's Mikey. He's authentic to the core, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
Crotch corn.
Crotch corn.
YouTube gaming channels have it rough. So much has already been done before, and even more has been copied relentlessly. Those who continue to do it well have a deep passion for what they make, as well as a unique perspective that gives their channels an identity, a voice that can cut through the noise. Who knew that fans of retro video game videos would also enjoy videos about microwavable dinners or old black and white TV shows, or whatever else Brutalmoose decides to do next? But man, it works. I can't believe how well it works. Ian just being himself, making weird food or talking about obscure media, and then adding these amazing edits full of goofy sound effects that just bring the natural comedy he has to a whole nother level. It's genius, and I'm astonished and delighted for my friend that so many others see the brilliance in it. I think one of the most exciting things for me as a friend to so many creators is to watch when someone really chases their bliss, jumps ship from the expected and dives headfirst into the unknown, following only their inspiration as a guide. And it's just the best when this works out. If you haven't caught Brutalmoose's food reviews or his Televoid series, go to his channel and enjoy. I'm really excited to see what he comes up with next, because as long as he keeps his unique voice the centerpiece of his videos, he could do anything. You may not know it yet, but you'll learn pretty quickly that I am a huge sad boy. Humans experience a wide range of emotion, and all too often we try to diminish or keep hidden huge parts of that emotional experience. So as we head to the end of this list, let's take a journey into the world of loss, struggle, death, and depression. And let's talk about the way art can help us to wrestle with these darker parts of the human experience. Bojack is a special show. Every time through, new jokes land, new plot points are revealed, and I get a deeper understanding of these flawed and broken characters. This year, Season 4 did something even I was not expecting. It showed a grounded picture of what hope, change, and self-care can look like, because change doesn't look like the self-help tapes of Season 2. It doesn't look like the fame and fortune of Season 3.
No, tell them I want my free Tesla parked in my goddamn living room. I'm Bojack!
I also love how much this season focuses on the people who surround Bojack and are affected by his struggles. His mother, Mr. Peanut Butter, Princess Carolyn, Todd, Diane, Hollyhock. I think there's a purposeful message in this. As Bojack learns to not put himself at the center of his story, the show follows suit. But what you do see is someone earnestly trying their hardest to be better. And this is made painfully clear in the episode Stupid Piece of Shit, which spends the entirety of the episode with Bojack's inner dialogue being loudly heard.
She's not grubby, she's your daughter, you piece of garbage. You're a piece of garbage, a real shitty piece of garbage.
Because I've heard that voice. Every day I have to fight to silence that inner critic that just yells, "You're a piece of shit, you know that?" And 2017 was the year I really tackled that struggle head on. Early this year I came to the realization, I don't like me. I've spent the year slowly working through this, unpacking the countless things that added up to this deep-seated self-hatred, and the change has felt tangible. I can state positive things about myself with minimal caveats. I see the value I bring in this world, and I pursue opportunities to engage in the things I think matter. I don't think I would have been able to make this channel or this video if I didn't go through that work. And that's why Bojack is so important to me. It's so powerful to see those little changes happening as I was making those little changes in my life.
Oh.
If I'm shitty, that's just because I'm shitty. And you're allowed to be mad at me. But you need to know that whatever I do, it's not your fault.
There was also a game that came out this year that used anthropomorphic animals and incredible comedic writing to portray mental illness, trauma, and the struggles of life in a really meaningful way. Night in the Woods. It took me a while to get why this game was so important. I enjoyed my first 5 hours of the game, the quirky writing was great, but I really didn't get why so many people said that I needed to play this game. And then around Act 3, a switch flipped. I got more deep moments with the characters that made me care about their stories. The whole world started to make more sense. The need to see every person's story started to grow. I needed to learn more about these amazing characters through every day I spent in the game. Even little side stories like Bruce had me running back and forth to the church every single day to see how things would play out. And through it all there is this uncanny, unsettling feeling of something monstrous going on. This constant cloud that seems to linger right out of frame. It's almost Lovecraftian. And that feel, regardless of how the story plays out in the final act, is so perfect to the themes of depression and mental health that it hurts. That unnameable thing, constantly following you around, warping your perception and breaking your spirit until all you can see are empty shapes in an empty world. That's my greatest fear. So we have two different forms of media that implemented comedy and animal people in wildly different stories, both showcasing depression, anxiety, trauma, and mental health in really profound ways. I engaged and experienced these stories while I was learning how to weather the storms of my depression. I connected so closely because I was working hard to create in myself the ability to say, I like this person. This person is worth something. This year, I started to learn how to love myself. I learned how to take care of my mental health and weather the storms. And more than anything else on this list, that is the most important thing of 2017. I played through last day of June in about 4 hours. It only took one sitting. I had no idea what it was about. I had no idea that it was inspired by a Steven Wilson music video, or that Steven Wilson himself did the soundtrack. I also had no idea how sad and profound this game would be. This is a game about loss. In the first hour, using exploration and wordless storytelling, you get the setup. A car crash leads to the untimely death of our protagonist's wife. The remainder of the game takes place in the middle of the night, with you, the protagonist, constrained to a wheelchair, alone in your empty house. It is there that the game really uses its interactivity to the best of its ability. You take on the role of 4 different characters, all who live in the tiny town that the game is set in, reliving the hours that lead up to the crash. Your goal? To rewrite history and stop the crash from happening. Using this form, the game conveys that obsession that can come out of tragedy, of constantly re-watching and rethinking the events leading up to the unthinkable in your mind, replaying it over and over, trying to figure out who's at fault. How could it be changed? It's a powerful expression of grief, improved by the medium it is contained in. It's the kind of experience that makes me really excited to see what kinds of big topics and ideas video games will try to tackle in the future. Because games have a unique and powerful language that can express things in the ways other mediums may struggle to. This game does that. The repetition, slow changes, logic puzzles, and exploration all coalesce into an experience that guides the player through the anger, frustration, and eventually acceptance of someone who is dealing with a profound loss. And while the last day of June did a really great job approximating and attempting to represent the struggle of loss, this last album didn't need to approximate. It didn't need to imagine what loss feels like because its creator, Phil Elverum, lived it. And it doesn't attempt to represent those feelings through abstraction or art. Rather, it deconstructs the art itself, leaving you with these most minimal song arrangements that play more like journal entries, telling you that death is real, and it's not for making into art. A Crow Looked at Me by Mount Eerie is what death looks like to those who live on. It's heartbreaking, honest, and blunt, forgoing poetic cadence or flowery prose for the hard, bitter, and inconsolably broken language of someone who just lost the love of their life to the slow, inevitable death of cancer. Both my parents are cancer survivors. Every day I fear that I could get the call that says the cancer has come back, and I only have a little bit of time left with those I love. I also live in the Northwest with my wife and child. Every year we vacation to the very islands that Phil and his family were hoping to build their lives on. I hope to retire there someday. I've also been kept up late into the night, wondering how I would handle my wife dying, wondering what I would do with her Netflix account. What about the junk mail? How far would it follow us? How difficult would it be to throw out her trash? Even with all of this, I am still living in the anxiety of what if. I can empathize, but my empathy fails to come close to the sorrow that is expressed in this album. It transcends good or bad, best or worst, important or any other descriptor I could put on it. It just is. It exists in the only way it could possibly exist. And because of that, I think it's something we should all be engaging with. Before I go, I want to leave you with the song that was the hardest for me to listen to. Seaweed. This is the end of a song about a journey with a child and the ghost of a partner who should have been there. This is how that experience comes to a close.
I brought a chair from home. I'm leaving it on the hill, facing west and north, and I poured out your ashes on it, I guess so you can watch the sunset. But the truth is I don't think of that dust as you. You are the sunset